Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Sarah McKee. I'm part of the Aveda show team, and I'll be facilitating Helga's course and walking you through our setup. So let's do a quick poll and find out who is in the house right now. If you would just answer the poll that should be popping up on your screen and let us know if you are a makeup artist, if you work in skin and spa. We've been seeing a ton of our fantastic Institute educators and students joining us, which is so great. It looks like we have about half of our attendees in the skin and spa realm. No surprises there. And then we do want to take a minute, as always, to invoke our mission. I know that the message of our mission is resonating a little differently for some of us during this time. Caring for the world we live in seems more important now than ever. And then we'll move on to wellness. And because we are led by the fantastic Helga Hefner today, there's nobody better to lead us in that than her.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome to each and every one of you. I'm so glad that you joined me on this second webinar on our journey with Tulasāra facial treatments. And starting today, I'm going to do a wellness with each webinar that's going to connect us with the chakras. And today we're going to start with the root chakra. So sit comfortably, gently close your eyes. You can rest your palms on your thighs or palm up. Rest in the awareness of your breath. The more you can do this, it'll transform your life into a living meditation. So bring your attention to the base of the spine near your tailbone. This is the location of the root chakra, this energy center where we ground ourselves and take care of our basic needs. For most of us, right, this energy center right now, if you're feeling a bit fearful or have anxiety, is either spinning very slow or is blocked. And if you're feeling a bit more self-centered or over materialistic, no judgment here, the energy center is too wide open. So let's just go ahead and connect with this energy center. Imagine this beautiful ball of red spinning energy and just affirm for yourself that it's spinning in perfect harmony and balance. And then just take a couple deep breaths as you just hold that intention. The color red, and it's spinning in perfect harmony and balance. Now, as we inhale, I want you to repeat in your mind the following affirmation. I am safe and I am secure. And then as you exhale, repeat in your mind, I am grounded and I am healthy. Inhale, I am safe and secure. And exhale, I am grounded and healthy. And one more time, inhale, I am safe and secure. And exhale, I am grounded and healthy. And anytime as you go through your day when you're feeling a little fearful or a little bit anxious, connect with this energy center and repeat these positive affirmations. I am safe and secure. I am grounded and healthy. And just imagine yourself demonstrating self-mastery in your life. You have lots of energy, you're feeling grounded, and you're being healthy. Great. I don't know about you, but I feel better. So go ahead and gently open your eyes. Allow yourself to be fully present in this moment. Let go of any distractions. This is just you and I together taking a deeper dive, learning and growing. Next slide together. All right, so let's just see a show of hands. How many of you have done any of the well, let's just start this way. How many of you were at the last webinar last week where we talked about deconstructing the facial? See a show of hands. Great, quite a few of you. Awesome, well, welcome back as we continue on our journey. How many of you did any of the pre-homework? such as looking at the product resource guides and getting familiar with the ingredients and the products used in the dry protocol. Maybe printing out the protocol itself and just doing a little review before this webinar. How many looked at the video? Went online to take a look at that and jot down your questions. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that pre-work. We find that we really learn the best and we retain our information when we actually resource it and teach ourselves. So the pre-work is really an important component. And if you can carve out just a half hour every day to do a study on, you know, whatever's going to be my next webinar. So next week, my webinar is going to be the sensitive facial. So if you can look at these same resources on PurePro, and it'll just start to allow you to really be engaged and get ready to take a deeper dive and learn more. So this particular webinar, along with the other ones, are really going to answer the big question, why? Why did we design the facial protocol the way we have? Why are we using the products that we are? Why are we performing the application techniques that we are? Because I find that once you understand the why, then you're going to be able to understand the what to do and how to do easier. But if there are questions in your mind on why are we doing certain things, we need to answer those. And that's really what this webinar and all the webinars to come are really about. So strap yourselves in, get yourself ready, because it's going to be a very exciting, very packed hour and a half. So next slide, please. So here are the things we're going to cover. The theory behind the treatment design. We're going to take a deeper dive into the specific products, application techniques, and how to customize those. We'll review how you can design and customize a 30 and 90-minute variation, and then how to create some repeat business using the holistic treatment plan, specifically treatment plan series and packages. Next slide, please. So here you can see the list of top global concerns, and we're very happy to say that we've got protocols that address each and every one. And this particular protocol for dry skin is suitable for anyone exhibiting the symptoms of fine lines and wrinkles, as well as dull, dry skin. Next slide, please. Now, before we take a deeper dive into the protocol itself, I find it very, very helpful, and we're going to take some time to just review a little bit of the structure of the skin and understanding what it is that we're really working on and the impact our products, application techniques, and the sequencing is actually having. This is a review for some of you who've been in the industry for a long time who already know this, so you can just kind of take it all in. Those of you that are students, depending on where you are in your program, this could be a refresher for you, but I think it's critically important because all of our protocols transform the skin. That is our objective. We did not create the protocols to just have a great, relaxing facial experience. That is a given, and I strongly believe we are probably one of the foremost leaders in delivering an outstanding guest experience. And I've received a lot of facials in my many years from various different brands, and I can say with confidence, our treatments are unlike any other experience that the guest will receive. But in order to transform the skin, we need to understand the skin. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive here. So as we all know, the skin has three predominant layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the subcutaneous tissue. The epidermis consists of the 5 layers that you really see on the image on the screen. And the thickness of these 5 layers, if you take a look at the piece of paper in front of you, is about the thickness of a piece of paper. Very, very thin. The function of the epidermis is to provide waterproofing, and it serves as a barrier to infection and protecting against microorganisms and harmful effects from the environment, as well as including the sense of touch and sensation. The middle layer is the dermis that contains blood vessels, nerves, and glands that are an important part for the skin's function. And then the third layer, the innermost layer, is the subcutaneous tissue, which contains fat that really protects from trauma. The epidermis is the thin layer of the skin. It's the most superficial layer. It's the layer you see when your eyes look at the skin around your body. So let me now take you into a little bit of a deeper dive with each one of these layers and what takes place within them. So the first layer is your stratum corneum. Basically, oh, can you go back, please? Thank you. So the stratum corneum consists mostly of dead keratinocytes. They're on the surface of the skin and they naturally will flake off. What happens as we have unhealthy skin or if the barrier's been disrupted, this sloughing is very inconsistent and from when we were much younger and the skin was much healthier, right? So we have this layer, the stratum corneum, consists of about 15 layers of dead skin cells. And they function very much like the shingles on the roof, right? They're packed together very, very tightly. The nucleus of the cell has fallen off, so they're very flat, they're very thin. They make up about 90% of the dust in our home. And so you also find that this stratum corneum layer is 50 times thinner than the piece of paper. So this piece of paper that we said the skin structure is at, the stratum corneum is at least 50 times thinner than that. All right. The second layer is called the stratum lucidum. This is found only in the palms of the hands, the fingertips, and the soles of the feet. The third layer is the stratum granulosum. And you see that's where part of the keratin production occurs. Keratin is a protein that is the main component of the skin. The fourth layer is the stratum spinosum. This gives the skin its flexibility and its strength. The cells are there's intercellular attachments and points called desmosomes that we'll talk more about when I get to the perfecting plant peel that are located in this. You see the purple round center of the cells. That basically is where the DNA is, and it's the life force of that cell. So they are living skin cells. And then you have the basal layer at the very bottom. And this is the skin's most important cells, the keratinocytes. 90% of all the cells in the epidermis are these keratinocytes. They're formed here in the basal layer and they move up gradually through the different layers of the skin. They lose the nucleus, they come flatter, they lose their moisture, they lose their ability to hang on to moisture as they move to the very top. Also within the basal layer, you see the melanocytes. They're responsible for determining the skin color and protecting us from the harmful UV rays, radiation rays. Our goal in transforming the skin is to help return order from chaos. When someone comes in with specific imbalances in the skin, there is chaos within the epidermal structure. And the root cause of that is the disrupted skin barrier or the hydrolipidic film. When you're applying skincare products to the skin, they're only affecting the epidermis. You don't ever want any skincare products to penetrate into the dermis or go beyond that, because that is living tissue and you don't want any ingredients to interfere with that. What I want us to start thinking about is that the various different products that you're applying to the skin deliver messages or information to the various different layers of the skin in the epidermis. We want to deliver that information in a very healthy, safe, and balanced way so that the skin regains and returns and maintains its natural integrity. That is what I refer to when I talk about skin transformation. The body heals itself when we are creating the right environment, when we're using the right products, when we are applying them in the right way, and we're using the application techniques and leaving them on in the right way in a certain sequence. Our work is to influence and bring back order to the epidermis. When that happens, the rest of the skin will start to function more optimally, and we will have healthy, radiant, normal skin. So our goal is to restore harmony. That's what we mean by skin transformation. The body itself is going to repair and rejuvenate itself. All what we're trying to do is support the skin and the body through a holistic treatment to make that happen. That's why we're seeing amazing, amazing results with the protocols. I hope you understand now what we mean about transformation. So let's go on to the next slide and take a little bit of a closer look. So here you see an actual human skin through the microscope. So you can see the different layers that we've talked about and how they actually show up. Again, keeping in mind the skin no thicker than the width of thickness of a piece of paper, right? So when we're doing aggressive, extensive exfoliation, that is not the way to create and establish and return the skin back to harmony. That does a lot more damage than good. Our approach is to support the skin in a non-invasive way to allow the skin to rejuvenate, repair itself. And the most important vehicle to help facilitate that is repairing the skin barrier's function. So we look at the epidermis, and you can see that beautiful webbing on the top, right? That's the stratum corneum. The very, very top of that layer is the skin barrier. You see in this particular one, it's been disrupted by looking at the top on the right-hand side, right in between where it says cornified layer and granule. You see where there is there's a missing component there. This is an example of a disrupted skin barrier that leaves the skin very susceptible to losing its moisture, to losing the natural lipids within the skin, as well as leaving the skin wide open for microscopic organisms to penetrate and allergens and pollutants. And so you can see all the different layers we're talking about. And again, keep in mind, it is only the epidermis that we're looking at our products influencing. That is all we have to do, right? So I love this slide. I was so excited to show it to you so that you could have a real view of the skin and how thin it is that we are working on. Okay, next slide, please. So let's take a look at the difference between a dry skin and a dehydrated skin. So dry skin means there is a lack of sebum. This is a particular skin type. They may feel dryness even on their hands and their scalp and the rest of the body, right? So you usually have smaller pores. You have absolutely no sebum or very, very little sebum coming up to the surface of the skin. There is a lack of sebum, and it's often prone to premature aging because of that. On the contrary, when we take a look at dehydrated skin is really a lack of water. This is a skin condition that could be present in both an oily or a dry skin type. You may experience breakouts with dehydrated skin. Why? Because the stratum corneum, your skin barrier function, is a combination of water and lipids. And when the water is missing, the skin then, in order to create some kind of protection, will pump more oil to the surface of the skin. And again, if the guest is not cleansing their skin properly, whatever their regimen is, or if they're touching their face a lot with their hands, breakouts can occur because of this. Also, dehydrated skin is caused by several factors, including diet, oftentimes incorrect skincare, cosmetics, and the weather. Now, the signs and symptoms of both a dry and a dehydrated skin are really the same. There's itchiness that's there. Oftentimes you'll see flakiness or keratinization on the skin. The skin might feel tight, and there's a dullness to the skin, right? As a lack of the proper water and oil combination on the surface of the skin. So I hope this helps you differentiate between the two. The dry protocol that we've put together addresses both the dehydrated skin as well as dry. We're going to be replenishing the water component of the skin, as you will see, as well as the sebum component. So our primary function here, as really in all of our protocols, is to strengthen the skin barrier as the root and foundation of where the imbalances begin. Next slide, please. Here's an example of a normal, healthy skin versus a dry skin. So again, if you take a look at the graphic on the top left, you'll see the little purple dots at the top of the stratum corneum are representative of this hydrolipidic film, this water and lipid barrier that we know as the skin barrier or hydrolipidic film. Right? They mean the same thing, right? And so what happens is when that's intact, the skin looks very healthy. You can see the example of the skin on the left at the top. It looks moist, it looks hydrated. You can see there's nice lubrication to that skin. It doesn't look dry or tight. So there's an example of a normal skin. Now, if we take a look at the graphic below, you'll see that hydrolipidic film has been disrupted. That allows then the moisture that comes from the hyaluronic acid produced within the skin to escape. And it also then leaves the skin more vulnerable for allergens and impurities to come into the skin. We see that here specifically as a dry skin, and you can see the difference between a healthy skin, a normal skin, and one that's dry. What's missing? Sebum is missing, water is missing within the skin. There's some keratinization that's happening there as well, right? So it's important to really determine the difference and what happens within the skin to create one versus the other. And that's just the healthy barrier, right? That is what the difference is between these two. All right, next slide, please. All right, so let's take a look at the protocol itself. First of all, this protocol has exfoliation as the focus. Most of our protocols, with the exception of 2, have exfoliation as the focus because that, again, is getting at the root cause of the problem and helping to really transform the skin so that the rest of our restorative and renewal products can work more effectively. We have to get rid of the excess buildup on the surface while maintaining this harmony in the skin barrier structure. So all of our protocols start out with this page, which is really the setup page. It's the one that you want to take a look at because there's a tremendous amount of information here. On the top left, you're going to see these are the clinical claims. These were the benchmarks that we wanted to achieve in the design of the dry focus. When we're dealing with dry skin, we want to improve the moisturization, the radiance, and the smoothness of the skin. And we wanted to do it in just one treatment. And here are the results. 83% improvement in moisturization, 38% improvement in radiance. And why that's important is a healthy skin reflects light more than an unhealthy or an imbalanced skin. So anytime you see improved radiance, that is an indication that the skin is healthier after the treatment than it was before, that it is back in harmony. It is more balanced after the treatment than it was before. And then within 24 hours, there was a continual improvement of 35% in the smoothness of the skin. This also tells me that the skin is now operating more optimally. So what's important about the claims is when you are working with your guest, whether it's in the consultation or certainly in the skin analysis, you want to be able to let your guest know what she or he can expect from the treatment. And so here you can share the percentages or you can just share the marketable improvement in moisturization, in radiance, and in smoothness of the skin. Moisturization also includes that hydration. the skin will look softer, plumper, smoother, more hydrated, more normal. The radiance, the skin will be more even tone, will be reflecting light better. There'll be a healthy glow that's there. And smoothness speaks to itself. The skin will be soft and smooth and consistent throughout every area that's being treated. It's important that also the guests see her skin and that you point out these 3 areas when you are doing your skin analysis as well. So she can see her skin before and then she can see her skin after. That's going to be critical that she see the before and the after in order for you then to position the holistic treatment plan, the treatment series, the lifestyle and wellness, the self-care, etc., so that she can continue to transform her skin and maintain these results in between the professional treatments. The next category is what you see products. And I've specifically organized the product listing in the way that you're going to be using and applying the products. So when you're setting up your treatment procedure, make sure you're lining up the products in the order that you're going to use them. Because then you're not going to need any cheat sheets or any follow-up. You're going to have the products lined up just the way that they are used, and it allows you to flow from one step into the next so that you are minimizing the amount of time that you're not treating the skin, right? Then, of course, we have our supplies and equipment needs list. Make sure your equipment is all working, everything is set up, and then you've got your preparation of your towels, what products you're going to be dispensing, preparing all of your disposables, and then what products you're going to be customizing with the aroma. So this is standard in all of our protocols, and it will really help support you so you don't have to think about these things, right? Next slide, please. All right, so greeting and consultation I covered at the last webinar last week, so I'm not going to go into these. If you missed that webinar, go ahead and catch a replay on Pure Pro. And then, of course, we have e-learning courses to get into much more about the consultation and body scan, etc. Next slide, please. And purification is also going to be the same from one protocol to the next. The only difference here is going to be the Tulasāra aroma infusion that you're going to use to customize your composition oil or your balancing cleanser. But other than that, this is also going to be the same across the board. Why? It's because we want to strengthen the barrier. And next slide, please. And so we're strengthening the barrier in 3 ways, very important ways. So in the purification process, these are the products that are going to be featured. They're from the Purify functional family, as well as from the Nourish functional family, and the Hydrate functional family. They're going to all work together, not only to effectively dissolve makeup, impurities, pollutants, etc., but the other aspect, and very important, is they're going to start to repair the barrier by replenishing the lipid component and replenishing the water component. And so the composition oil, you have organic olive oil and safflower oil. It's aroma neutral, and it maintains the natural lipid barrier, so it replenishes the lipid component. Then you have the balancing cleanser, which is customized with your aroma. Olive, coconut, organic baobab oil. And again, it helps to maintain the skin's moisture barrier as well. That's why we only have one cleanser. We're not addressing a skin type. That's what you do with the cleansers and the products you use at home for self-care. I've had estheticians ask me, Helga, how can I use the cream cleanser in a professional facial treatment, or can I use my gel cleanser? Well, you can if you like. But the reason that I've not included them is because neither of those are going to repair the barrier. Our goal as providing a professional treatment for the guest is to repair the barrier. And that's going to happen with the Aveda Professional Balancing Cleanser. The retail component to that is the all-sensitive cleanser, right? If your guest's skin has a very disruptive barrier, then that would be the retail component you would want her to use at home. And then, of course, when you've got dehydration as a really big concern here, and if you have a disrupted barrier, as you do with the dry skin that oftentimes is dehydrated, you want to replenish the water that's lost in the skin. And so oftentimes with a dehydrated skin, the skin is not able to replenish the water loss in a fast enough pace. And that's why you have the dehydration. So it's going to take full skin saturation, and both externally through using the hydrating treatment lotion, applying it with sponges until the skin doesn't drink in any more of the product, but then also internally, making sure your guests are drinking at least 2 to 3 liters of water a day and consuming high water content food, your fruits and your vegetables, as a mainstay in their diet, especially the vegetables. So I hope you understand now why protection is always the same. It's going to be the same throughout all of our protocols so that we can strengthen that barrier. Once the barrier is strengthened, now we can continue to work on the skin type, to work on the other imbalances that are manifesting, because now we've got the barrier functioning more optimally by supplementing or replenishing the lipid and the water. Now you're going to find as we go through this treatment, we need to continue to supplement the sebum as well, or we can say the lipids as well as the water component of the skin as we continue to transform the skin. And I'll point those out. Now the Nurture Aroma is beautiful blend. I love this blend, but specifically organic sandalwood, olibanum, and vanilla. So you see these are very rich. They are very warming essential oils. They're thicker essential oils, so they're going to have more lipid benefits to that skin barrier as well. And that's why we've chosen Nurture, which was created by Guy, who is our brilliant perfumer and aromatherapist. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at this skin. So when we're applying the Aveda Professional Composition Oil, we are repairing the barrier through applying lipids to the skin, right? So if we take a look at the normal stratum corneum, you see the orange layer at the very, very top. Okay, that's your hydrolipidic film or your skin barrier, and it's fully functioning. It's preventing the water loss as well as preventing irritants, allergens, and microbial organisms from entering the skin. That's what the sebum will do. It is this protective layer on the skin. It's why you have to make sure you're applying enough composition oil to make sure we're replenishing this. Now, a disrupted stratum corneum, as you can see in the middle graphic, right, is missing sebum. And wherever the sebum is missing, you're increasing the water loss of the skin. Take a look at what's happening to the corneocytes. They're also disrupted and disturbed, because you've got irritants, allergens, and microbial organisms that are now penetrating and causing that disruption. So you're getting the increased water loss, and you're getting all of these environmental aggressors that are now coming into the epidermis and creating disturbance. Now the third slide is when we're applying our composition oil, right? When we're applying those oils and filling in what's missing on that level, now you see a strong barrier. Once again, returning the skin back to its protective mechanism, preventing the water loss because it's much more controlled now, and then preventing these irritants, allergens, and microorganisms from invading the skin. This is what you're doing when you cleanse the skin. And as we continue to reapply the composition in the treatment or the light composition oil, we are again supplementing this with an external oil that's going to reinforce this protective barrier. Next slide. And here's an example of what happens when the water is lost from the skin. So if we take a look at on the left side, right, here's an example of all the moisture that's being lost because this barrier is missing. In this particular slide, it's missing, or you can say it's also disturbed. But a tremendous amount of water is being lost in the skin. Then when you are replenishing the water component, and in the dry protocol, we're using the Botanical Kinetics Hydrating Treatment Lotion, not to be confirmed with Botanical Kinetics Hydrating Lotion, which is a moisturizer. This is a treatment lotion that's liquid. It really instantly hydrates and saturates the skin with water. And so you can see that, again, that barrier in conjunction with the lipid is going to be replenished, and that prevents the loss of the water within the skin. So very, very exciting. I hope this really helps to drive home the importance of the products that we're using and why I want to make sure you're using enough of those products. Oftentimes, if you are not getting the results that you want, it's because you're not using enough of the product, you're not leaving it on long enough, you're not manipulating it enough on the skin for the ingredients to interact with the skin. So it's something to check. Definitely apply more composition oil than you normally would, right? Make sure you have enough cleanser, because there are beautiful ingredients in the cleanser as well that are going to help to add to the skin's moisture barrier and help support that, along with removing the makeup. And then, of course, you've got the hydrating treatment lotion. Full skin saturation every time you're using that is critical, especially to this particular skin type. Next slide, please. All right, so this brings us into our focus, which is exfoliation. And we have a variety of different exfoliating application techniques and products that we're using, both mechanical and biochemical as well. So let me walk you through this first, and then we'll go into the products. So it's going to start out with the dry skin brush. So we're going to start out using the exfoliation technique, getting rid of the very, very surface, those dead skin cells that are just getting ready to come off. We're just going to just make that smooth and even and allow that very, very top layer to come off easily. And we're going to do that with upward circular motions. Then following that, we're going to apply a thin layer of the refiner. So you're basically going to be applying the refiner to the palm of your hands, spreading it between your two palms, and then simply pressing it into the skin. Just pressing. You're not applying it, you're not wiping it. You are pressing it because you're applying a thin layer. If you try to wipe it on, you're going to irritate and scratch the skin. Not necessary. You are pressing it into the skin, then you're going to remove the excess from your palms. This is very, very important. Dry your palms, and then you're going to do the buffing technique. You're simply going to work very quickly from the midline out, very briskly brushing off the micronized bamboo particles, right? That's going to create a very gentle yet powerful friction exfoliation. You can go back and forth over the nasolabial fold if you want, and be very gentle around the cheek area, because the cheeks have a tendency to be a little bit more sensitive, and oftentimes sensitivity is associated with the dry, dehydrated skin as well. If you want to, if you're seeing a buildup of keratinized skin more between the brows, or let's say in the temples, around the mouth, you can use a little bit of the refiner, let it set for a minute, and perform the gommage technique in botanical skin resurfacing on particular areas where there is much more of a buildup. And so this is how you customize the protocol, is where you're focusing your attention. And you determine that when you're doing your skin analysis and looking at the guest's skin, even with their makeup on. You're able to see, where does the makeup cling? Where is it building up? Where am I seeing that the special attention needs to be focused there? Following that, you're going to use the composition oil and then use upward circular movements to continue to refine and exfoliate. Focus specifically around the nose and this time the cheek area. Then you're going to remove that with your aromatic towel, followed by cool compresses, so that you're working with both warm and cool hydrotherapy on the skin that improves circulation. And then we're going to follow with a biochemical exfoliant, using the liquid exfoliant and exfoliating pads with tabs in an upward circular motion. followed by the serum to help the skin recover. And then we're going to use the dry brush once again, only this time we're going to perform lymphatic drainage. And we're going to use the side of the brush. No longer are we exfoliating with this. We are simply performing lymphatic drainage to help the skin flush out any impurities that are released within the lymphatic system itself and stimulate those nodes as well. And then from there, we're going to move into steaming the skin and massaging the intensive hydrating mask, infused with the aroma for 5 minutes to really fully infuse the skin with hyaluronic acid and hydration, and then follow with a full saturation of the hydrating treatment lotion and the sponges. So there is your exfoliation process for dry, dehydrated skin. So let's take a look at those specific products. Next slide, please. I hope you're following along. Raise your hand if you're tracking with me. Yay, great, 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 great. Excellent, excellent, good. Thank you so much. All right, so here are the products specifically. So the brushes we've already talked about. So let's look at the refiner for just a second. So I mentioned that it has natural micronized bamboo. It also has the tourmaline, which is the energizing mineral powder that helps to reveal that radiant skin. Tourmaline also is balancing for all of the doshas. It's a tridoshic powdered gem. There is glycerin and sodium hyaluronate in the refiner, right? Sodium hyaluronate is another name for hyaluronic acid. It's the same thing. So that's in there. So our refiner is phenomenal because while it does a great job mechanically exfoliating the skin, it does not dry or dehydrate the skin in any way, shape, or form as many mechanical exfoliants do in the marketplace. So again, you're starting to see how hydration plays a very important role in how we've formulated the products, how we're using the products. It is aroma neutral. I don't recommend that you ever need to add an aroma to the refiner. Why? Anytime you're adding a Tulasāra aroma infusion to a product, you are adding activity. The refiner is active enough. We don't need to add any aroma to that. If you want to bring in a level aroma, you just add that blend that we mixed in our little Gokarna during the consultation. Just add it to your wrist like you did for the towels. Now you're bringing an element of aroma. But I would not add it to the refiner because it's not needed. The composition oil, you have olive and safflower oils. Again, it maintains the natural lipid barrier. Then we have our Botanical Kinetics exfoliant. This is a sugar-derived exfoliant, wintergreen. Our salicylic acid is derived from wintergreen. And what I love about sal acid is it also is anti-inflammatory, very gentle. So it dissolves those bonds that keep the stratum corneum together, some of those surface ones that we need to get rid of. You don't want to get rid of the entire stratum corneum layer. You want to get rid of the excess that inhibits the ingredients from benefiting the skin. And that's why it's important the guests use it on a daily basis for maintenance. So you have the aroma of chamomile and lime and geranium and eucalyptus in there. Beautiful. So it will help to smooth, clear, and refine the skin. And then with those exfoliating pads with tabs, you do have some texture to those cotton pads. And so you're going to get a little bit more friction exfoliation with that as well. And then obviously after that, we want to make sure that we are applying the recovery serum, which helps to mitigate the inflammatory cascade. It helps to both prevent as well as address any stress within the skin. I find that it is not necessary to be heavy-handed when you're working and performing a facial treatment. You want to make sure, let the ingredients do the transformative work. Sometimes if you're too heavy-handed, you can create undue stress on the skin because of the pressure you're applying, along with then the impact of the ingredients. for certain skin conditions that might be too much, and you will see the signs of stress on the skin. So no matter what the protocol says, always monitor the skin from each application step. And if at any point you see the skin is starting to stress, then go ahead and apply the recovery serum. You can actually apply the serum in between every step. You can't overuse it, and there's nothing in there that would impede or prevent the skin from benefiting from the next product you're going to apply. You'll find in the sensitive protocol, we use the serum quite a bit within that to really prove that point. All right. And then, of course, then we finish with the dry brushing and the lymphatic drainage techniques. So these are products that are in the renew and recovery functional families. Next slide, please.
Helga, before we move on to the next slide, can I ask you a couple good questions that came up in Q&A on this step?
Yes, of course.
Cindy is saying that she does not know how to use the dry brush for lymphatic drainage. Do we have time for a quick demo?
Okay, first of all, I wanted to tell you that there is a resource on PurePro. If you look at this dry protocol, you will see me perform both the exfoliation technique as well as the lymphatic technique. There are also graphics, a handout, step by step, that are also on PurePro that you can go ahead and print out for yourself. So you have all of that as support. To just verbally go over it for you, it's very simple. The first time you're using the brush at the very beginning, you're going to exfoliate. So you're going to use the top of the brush, and you're going to use upward circular movements. Just basically move from the décolleté to the neck and to the face. You're using 2 brushes, and you're just going to do upward circular movements. We have a very specific pattern that we follow, but you just want to work systematically from décolleté to forehead. And then you're going to get exfoliation. So it has to be with the top of the brush, and it has to be an upward circular movement. You can't just stroke up. In our testing, we found that that did not exfoliate enough. You need to do this circular movement to really get underneath the vellus hair. Now, the second technique that we use with the brush at the very end of the exfoliation here is with the side of the bristles. And you're going to follow the lymphatic pathway. So you're just positioning the brush sideways, and you're sweeping basically close to the lymph nodes first, and then moving out. And then you're going to stimulate lymph nodes here, and then you're going to sweep down the neck, and basically on the face, you're going to move from the midline out. So following the natural lymphatic pathways, please look at the videos. They'll give you much more detailed instruction and the graphics that go along with them. You'll see the brush used in both of these techniques in all of the videos except for the sensitive, I believe. I'll have to look at the sensitive. I can't remember if I put it in the sensitive or not, but I think, but you'll find them in most of them. All right, so take a look at that. Hopefully that answered your question.
Great resources. And then Denise just would like you to quickly clarify, when you use the Radiant Skin Refiner, is that on dry skin, or do you wet the skin first?
The Radiant Skin Refiner, you can apply it because it's done right after the brush. If we go back, can we go back one more?
Yep.
Let's just go back and we look at that protocol. There we go. So we started out with the dry brush, so your skin has to be dry. So you're applying it to dry skin at this point. And the reason is because and it's a thin layer, so we want to buff it off. And if the skin has moisture on it, you're not going to be able to buff. What happens is you're going to be moving those particles on the surface because they're dragging on the skin instead of being brushed off. So yes, it's applied to dry skin.
Thank you. All right.
All right, so let's go on. So we're still in the exfoliation process, but now we're helping to treat and hydrate the skin. It's still part of that process because now we're helping to bring more harmony back to that skin. So for this intensive hydrating mask, customized with the Nurture aroma, under steam and massaged into the skin for at least 5 minutes. Why do we want to do this? Well, the steam is going to help to soften, relax, relax the pores, soften the skin, so that the intensive hydrating mask ingredients are easily and more effectively absorbed, and you have this intense, beautiful hydration that takes place. So the intensive hydrating mask, first of all, it's oil-free. So we are saturating the skin with very much needed hydration and water. In the formulation, we have plant-derived glycerin, which helps provide moisture to the skin. We have rose water, which is going to help to tone and refresh the skin and is beautiful for a dry, dehydrated skin. You have hyaluronic acid, a sugar-derived humectant that delivers a surge of essential hydration. Why hyaluronic acid is so phenomenal is it will help to hold 1,000 times its own weight in moisture. So it pulls moisture from the environment and it holds it there. So if you look at this slide, you see the intensive hydrating mask on the left and then the hydrating treatment lotion on the right. They are two different forms of hyaluronic acid as their main key component. The hydrating mask is a gel hyaluronic acid, and the hydrating treatment lotion is the liquid hyaluronic acid. So think of it in those terms, right? Start really being familiar with the ingredients. It'll help you understand why we're using those products in the way that we are. Betaine is in the hydrating mask. It's derived from sugar beets, and again, designed to add hydration. So that mask will hydrate, it will cool the skin, and bring relief from dryness. So it should be a key component to their self-care regimen at home, as well as anytime you're dealing with dehydration. These are the top two products within our range that address it in such beautiful, beautiful ways. And again, the hydrating treatment lotion, again, hyaluronic acid, along with a proprietary moisturizing algae blend, instantly hydrates, maintains the moisture balance of the skin barrier, and has this fresh, beautiful aroma featuring rose as well. So I love, love these two products. Major transformation. Next slide, please. And now we're ready to go on to the next process, which is massage. And in this case, because exfoliation was the focus, we have not integrated any other, quote, formal or traditional massage. The skin balancing technique is always the first step in the massage process. And it really is the primary place where we're delivering our aromatherapy directly to the skin via the aroma-infused light composition oil. And there are two application processes. One is applying the oils very strategically from the décolleté up to the forehead, and then we're going to be spreading that with water. Then we go into our correction process, which we're going to use the aroma-infused tourmaline charged radiance mask, applying it with a pre-moistened brush, then covering with our eye mask and our face mask, the disposable cottons I talked about last week. Perform your body scan for about 7 minutes, and then the last 2 minutes, press the disposables into the skin, then remove the mask. Use a warm aromatic steam towel, not a hot. At this point, you don't want to introduce any more heat. You want the skin to be a beautiful, even color by the time you reach the end of your treatment. Finish it with cool wipe with cool cotton pads after your towel. Then again, infusing the skin, flooding the skin with the hydrating treatment lotion, applying your vitamin C complex, then your concentrates, and then we get into protection. So next slide, let's take a closer look at these products and why they are so amazing. So for skin balancing, we are using the light composition oil. This differs from the composition oil. It has different oils that are in here: sunflower, safflower, and evening primrose oil. It's great for sensitive skin, and it will soften and condition the skin. We have our same beautiful nurture aroma. And then, of course, you don't have this in the protocol, but this is something that I'm going to be updating the protocols in the future. So you're getting a little heads up here, is if you have someone who has a dry, dehydrated skin, and they're also concerned about treating the deeper wrinkles. Fine lines are going to be addressed with all the hydration that we're doing and the composition oil. They're going to see an immediate improvement in that. But if you're looking at preventing more fine lines, or if you're looking at treating more wrinkles, and you want to focus on collagen boosting, you can use the vitamin C complex here instead of the aromatherapy skin balancing blend. So you have a choice at this point of what you want to do. If you're using the vitamin C complex, you do not need the water step. You're just applying the oil systematically from the décolleté on up, and then you're working that and massaging that into the skin, focusing on specific areas that need more attention where you want the collagen to be strengthened. And so you have a little option that's there. Next slide, please. All right, and then we go right into correction. So for correction, we talked about using the aroma-infused tourmaline charged radiance mask. This, again, has some exfoliating properties to it. So it's going to help to remove some dull dead cells. There is a further smoothing and refining of the skin, which is why we've picked this mask over any of the other ones. It will create that healthy, beautiful, radiant glow to the skin. This has the tourmaline powder in it, which is going to help to bring that radiance. It has murmuru butter and avocado oil, which is again going to help to replenish the lipid barrier. Glucosamine, lycopene, poreo-cocos, which is a mushroom extract. It is a beautiful, beautiful mask to use and delivers everything that we need. You will find, with the exception of the deep cleansing clay mask, we are covering all of our masks with our disposable pre-moistened compresses here to prevent them from drying out. Once the masks dry out, they basically stop working. So we want to keep them active and moist. Make sure you're using enough of the mask to really make a difference in the skin so that the ingredients come in contact with the skin. And something that I've been recently doing that I think is a really good practice is start to massage a little bit of the mask into the skin first and then apply the rest of the mask. This ensures that the ingredients are coming in contact with the skin and not just sitting on top of the skin, right? So massage a little bit of the mask into the skin and then apply the rest of it and let it sit on the skin. You want to make sure all of the skin is thoroughly and properly covered. And then, of course, once we remove that, we're going to saturate the skin again with the hydrating treatment lotion and that hyaluronic acid. Next slide, please. And then we are ready to go ahead and restore the skin. We're still in the correction part at this point. And again, you can apply the vitamin C, another application. This time it's left on the skin. And then you have the choice of your 3 Tulasāra concentrates. So the vitamin C, as a reminder, it's a 10% concentration stable vitamin C ester suspended in a nutrient-rich sunflower seed oil that will slowly over time release the vitamin C to the skin. Most vitamin C products in the market are unstable and lose their potency over time. The vitamin C that was in the product when you used it the first day versus 30 days later has been greatly diminished. And that's why we've chosen to choose an oil delivery system for our vitamin C, keep it very, very stable. And this helps to support the natural collagen production within the skin. We found in our clinical trials that within one application, within 5 days, the fibroblasts actually started creating more collagen within the skin. And that's just one application. So we know the product really works. The skin becomes more nourished, more conditioned, it's soft. It helps contribute to that great healthy barrier. It helps to smooth the fine lines. It leaves the skin looking brighter and more radiant. It's amazing. Now, in terms of the concentrates, you can use 1, 2, or all 3, as I mentioned last week. The Calm concentrate helps to reduce redness. So it restores a healthy balance to the skin by having an instant cooling sensation. So once again, if you've seen the skin be stressed, then that's what you want to go ahead and use. It instantly calms and hydrates and visibly reduces that redness over time. You know, it's the counterpart to the recovery. The recovery serum is for professional use. The Calm is for retail use. And then, of course, we have Bright, which helps to restore radiance, visibly reducing dark circles, dark spots on the skin, uneven skin tone over time. It also helps to plump up the skin and helps to restore some of the moisture and boost healthy hydration levels. So for dehydrated skin, definitely the Bright is something that you want to use. It helps to, again, restore the barrier as well, as does the Firm. Helps to promote the skin's natural collagen production, helps to lift and firm, helps to restore the lipid barrier, has instantly tightening and toning qualities, helps to plump the skin, smooth the fine lines. So you can see all of our are helping to restore that barrier. It's the continual common theme you're going to see in many, many of our products that we're using. So if you're going to use them, the concentrates, Calm comes first, then apply Bright, then Firm. Do not mix them together. They need to be applied separately and layered. I'm a very, very big fan of layering products. It's a great opportunity to introduce your facial roller because that will help to make sure your application is evenly distributed and all of the ingredients are infused into the skin, right? So very, very important. And then from here, we're really ready for protection. And protection is all, next slide, please. And protection is all about strengthening the skin, right? Again, that skin barrier we want to strengthen. So you can either use the botanical kinetics options, and because this is a dry, dehydrated protocol, the energizing eye cream, great to help restore moisture around the eyes, the kapuasu butter, and also help to reduce dark circles and under eye puffiness. Then you have the hydrating lotion, which is phenomenal for dehydrated skin. It helps to protect the skin from the dehydration, keeps the skin very soft and supple, instantly hydrating, again, maintaining the moisture barrier, and has a great moisturizing algae blend and humectants. Hyaluronic acid is in there as well. And then you have the soft and the rich creams. These will help to infuse longer hydration of 24 hours. So you also have the kapuasu butter. It helps to retain the moisture, long-lasting hydration, different textures to the skin, to their formulations as well. Soft being lighter, richer being a little bit more nourishing. So rich would be for a dry or a very dry skin. And next slide, please. And then, of course, for anyone concerned with the fine lines and the wrinkles, then you would take them in and recommend the Tulasāra recommendation. So the wetting mask for the eye, again, instant radiance, reduces under eye circles and puffiness, but also at the same time has its overnight repair process to lift and firm the skin, making the skin smoother and more refined. It helps to restore, again, that protective layer of the skin, the stratum corneum, and it has the ability to detox and exfoliate. So the Renew Morning Cream used during the day instantly brightens, reduces uneven skin tone, smooths those fine dry lines, firms and lifts the skin, and strengthens the barrier, really making the skin stronger in fighting off those environmental aggressors during the day. And then, of course, the Tulasāra Wetting Mask, again, delivering moisture, instant radiance, brightness to the skin, reducing dark spots, works overnight, nourishes, conditions the skin, and tightens the skin. So you have this great trifecta there. And then, of course, you want to finish strengthening the skin with your moisturizers by applying the Daily Light Guard, making sure you've got a full broad spectrum protection, and sheer fluid application on top of your moisturizers, a must to protect the skin, especially when you're using the vitamin C. Next slide. And then, of course, then we're ready to go into the finishing touch, your transitioning ritual, and then the holistic treatment plan. Next slide, please. All right, so finishing touch. All right, so let's make sure that we don't forget the lips. Lips can also become dry. They can also become dehydrated, right? So we're recommending 2 products, and this is the same in all of the protocols. It's consistent. You're using the Feed My Lips Pure Nourishment Lip Treatment. There's a mouthful, right? But this is a moisturizing balm that will help to nourish, smooth, and moisturize the lips. It helps reduce the flakiness or roughness of dry lips. I love the lip treatment. It's got wonderful ingredients in it that really will help to cushion and really moisturize the lips. Then the Lip Saver is designed to continue to soften and seal in the moisture. All right, so shea butter, sunflower oil help to nourish and condition and soften the lips. We also have castor oil, which helps to moisturize the lips and strengthen the barrier, along with cinnamon leaf, clove, and anise oils. Then, of course, to provide a little instant sheer coverage, we have the Inner Light Mineral Tinted Moisture. It's very lightweight, it's oil-free, a beautiful sheer coverage, but a dewy finish, and it instantly provides skin radiance. It does have some of the tourmaline powder in there. It's mineral-based, so it has a concentrated pigment, yet it gives you this beautiful sheer coverage. Resveratrol, which is an antioxidant, and titanium dioxide, so you are going to get some protection, even though we can't say it has a particular SPF. It still will provide that because of the titanium dioxide. And it has a light refracting mineral, so it will help you with this beautiful luminescent glow that you want your guests to see and feel when they leave the treatment room. And then the last product that's really applied here is the cooling oil on the back. The guest's been laying down for an hour. It's part of our awakening ritual. When we do an invigorating stretch, you're just applying that to the back. We've got peppermint, blue chamomile, and menthol. They'll help to awaken the mind as well as the body, improve circulation, release the tension, and provide this cooling, refreshing feel to the skin and the senses, so that when you are talking with the guest about their follow-up plan, the holistic treatment plan, they're awake and they're alert and they're with you, and still yet in a very relaxed and calm space. Next slide, please. So this brings us to the holistic treatment plan. And so you'll see on the left, we have called out what a treatment plan or series could be like for the guests. So if you're dealing with someone with a normal to dry skin or, normal to dry skin, you have them come in on a monthly basis. So that means 12 treatments a year. And make sure that you're recommending the self-care plan for them, their morning regimen, their evening regimen, and what we want them to do on a weekly basis. And then here are some lifestyle recommendations that you could take a look at. And the reason we say monthly is there's not a big imbalance here. With proper self-care, that imbalance will start to normalize itself, right? And them coming in every month allows you to adjust their skincare regimens according to seasonality, which is really important. When you have someone who has a very dry skin, you need to see them twice a month. So every other week for at least 3 treatments, 4 treatments, 5 treatments, 6 treatments, until you start to see the skin move toward that normal to dry concern, right? Then they can come in once a month. Again, their AM, PM regimen, a weekly focus, and lifestyle and wellness plan recommended. Next slide, please. So this just repeats what I just said in a little bit of a more concise way. I recommend that every guest come in for a series of professional treatments, 3 to 6, depending on the condition, twice a year, in spring and in autumn. You're recovering from the winter, or you're recovering from the summer. So you're recovering from the extreme environmental seasons. And so your skin's going to need that additional treatment series in order to help. And then you do a maintenance in between, right? Next slide. Now, when you're talking with a guest about coming in for a series, you may encounter some guests that have a restriction on the amount of time that they have or the amount of finances that they have, right? So you have to be able to take that 60-minute protocol and pare it down to a 30-minute treatment or build it up to a 90-minute treatment. I think once a guest comes in for a 90-minute treatment, they'll probably always want 90-minute treatments. But you have the ability, working off of the 60-minute time frame, to do either of those. So to pare it down into a 30-minute, you're basically going to select either the exfoliation, massage, or the correction process of the protocol based on what the skin needs at that particular time. Maybe you're just going to do the exfoliation piece of that. Or maybe you're going to do part of the exfoliation and you're going to do skin balancing, right? Or maybe you're going to focus on the correction. There are so many things in the 60 minutes that you can pull out and concentrate on in a 30-minute treatment, depending on how the skin is showing. Is it more oil dry? Is it dehydrated at that time? Is there more keratinization I have to deal with, right? Are there sensitivities on top of the dryness I have to deal with? So look at the 60-minute protocol as different segments, different treatment segments that you can pull out and use and combine in ways that will serve you to create a 30-minute. Now, in a 90-minute, we're basically adding the treatment of the décolleté, right? So in a 30-minute, you're focusing on the face, basically chin up. In a 60-minute, it's the neck and the face. And in a 90-minute, it's the décolleté, neck and face. By the time you add in the décolleté, you're already close to adding at least another 15, 20 minutes into your time frame here to build you into a 90-minute. But you can certainly, you don't have to rush, you can take your time, you can spend more time on specific areas of the 60-minute protocol. You can perform more than one body scan focus in a 90-minute. You could integrate a secondary focus, such as a special treatment around the eyes in 90 minutes. You can really create that 90-minute treatment in whatever way that you think will serve the guest the most. It's just you have that additional half hour, which gives you so much more time to really address more than one thing or spend more time in a certain area if that's what's required. So take time to really look at all of those options that you have and pull that 60-minute treatment apart and see how can you work with different issues and concerns, because you have everything you need right in there. Next slide, please. All right, and for the self-care plan, these are the specific things that you want to focus on. Tulasāra Radiant Awakening Ritual is consistent on everybody's self-care. That's the foundation. And then, of course, your botanical kinetics products, and specifically out of the concentrates, Bright and Firm, are going to be really great to focus on those. Next slide, please. And then this is the product positioning chart. You'll find this on PurePro. And we take a look at the top. Those are all the skin aspirations that we are dealing with in our protocols. And on the very left-hand side, you can see dry, dehydrated, dry skin. And what you see there is a list of all the specific products addressing dry, dehydrated skin. And you can make your choices from there. You know, for obviously Radiant Awakening Ritual, that dry brush ritual is there consistent across the board for everyone. And then, of course, for cleansing, you have a couple of choices, either the cream cleanser, which is more of a lotion cleanser, right? It's not going to disrupt the barrier. And then I like to use the exfoliating cream cleanser as a supplement, maybe once or twice a week, use that as a cleanser after the purifying cream cleanser or after you've removed your makeup. It's also a great option from a retail standpoint if the refiner is a little bit too aggressive. Then you can use the exfoliating cream cleanser for that guest once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week they can use. And then, of course, we've got the skin firming toning agent. Excellent, excellent toner to help maintain a balance, because that will help to maintain and create more harmony with a dry skin type. Then you've got liquid exfoliant on a daily basis. You have your hydrating treatment lotion, which is critical before your concentrates. And then you've got either your botanical kinetics or your Tulasāra moisturizers. And then, of course, your intensive hydrating mask, using that. Now, that works in 5 minutes or less, and you can use it every day. It's not a traditional mask. right? You can use it every day, or you can use it once or twice a week, depending on the guests and how much time they want to spend to really care and nurture themselves, right? So there's your support that you've got for that. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we want to make some lifestyle and wellness recommendations. Here are some that I've put together. You certainly don't want to recommend all of them to your guests. I would say every time your guest comes in, pick one lifestyle and wellness recommendation. And you're going to be seeing them in a series. So every week that they come in, you can share a new one. So you always want to have something that you can share with them, not to overwhelm. And so one of the first things here is maintain a regular sleep schedule. This is going to help everybody's skin look great. So go to bed before 10, get up before 6. If you want more information about this, make sure you come join my webinar on May 22nd, which is solely going to be focused on self-care. I'll get into nutrition. We'll maybe explore a little bit about breathing, movement, lifestyle. Then practicing self-massage. So as they're doing their radiant awakening ritual for their face, let's bring in the rest of the body as well. Because remember, dry skin isn't happening just here to here. There is dry skin everywhere. So the oleation oil can be used on the face as well as on the body, but we have beautiful body compositions. Shampoo might be a lovely one to really calm. The beautifying is also a really great one to use. Then you have MrChakra.com. There are meditations on there. There's a breathing technique, the alternate nostril breathing. We've called out, it's chakra number 4, specifically beneficial for a dry skin. And also reducing stress, because as we become stressed, we lose moisture. Again, the skin becomes disrupted and we lose a lot of moisture. So the more we can remain calm, the more the body functions optimally, and so will the skin. Also, taking a warm bath at night, not a hot bath, with stress fix soaking salts is very helpful and very relaxing and will help engage a regular night's sleep. Hot water, as we all know, has a tendency to dehydrate and dry the skin. So make sure when you're taking a bath, it's warm water. And to be honest with you, it's better at the end of your bath after a 20-minute soak, start to drain some of the warm water and bring in cool water. You will go to sleep faster from a warm bath, but you won't stay asleep longer or sleep as deep. If you're taking a colder bath, you will sleep longer and deeper. So there you have it, right? So these are just some ideas, but go on Mr. Chakra, be familiar with that. You're going to find all the breathing techniques are there. You'll find some nutritional information, meditation, 61-point relaxation, all kinds of great resources there for you and your guests. And it will make this whole lifestyle and wellness plan much easier to share with the guest. Next slide, please. And then, of course, I want to really encourage all of you, do yourself a favor and create a dry skin case study. Don't take my word for it. I was involved in the clinical studies of the majority, I think, except for one of the protocols. And so each clinical study, we had to perform the protocol on 30 individuals. We could not vary, we could not customize the protocol. It had to be the exact same thing. We had to measure the exact amount of products we were using as well. So they basically tested the markers before the protocol and after. And it was amazing. Out of those 30 people, I saw every variation of a dry, dehydrated skin that you could think of, and every combination of additional conditions that showed up in addition to dry and dehydration. And I'm telling you, every single person that left that case study was amazed and wanted to know where they could get this treatment. And so the results, the skin looked amazing. Unfortunately, they would not let us take before and after pictures to show you. And so initially I was disappointed. And then I thought, no, I actually think it's better. I think you should take your own before and after photos and document your own results. Because That is work that you created. You can speak from your own experience, and that kind of credibility and authority can't be replaced by anything else. You know, we have hairdressers who create their own portfolios so they can show their guests, here's my work, here's what I like to do, here's what I can do for you. We as estheticians need to create our own portfolio, right? I would certainly, if I come in and say, you know, I've got some concerns with acne or whatever, I would like to know what results has she created with other people who have acne, right? Or we have here dry skin or dehydrated skin. You saw the before and after picture. So a couple best practices: don't take a picture of the whole face. You want to make sure that you're protecting the person's privacy. Zoom in on an area of the face that you're seeing needs the most transformation. Maybe it's the cheek area, maybe it's an area on the forehead, right? And take a close-up of that and use the same lighting, the same area, week after week. Whether it's a 3-week series, 4-week series, 5, obviously the more imbalanced the skin is, the longer that series needs to be, right? And so, and make sure that you are putting them on, you know, a self-care plan, and that you're having them practice some lifestyle and wellness. I mean, we had some people do case studies where they didn't do lifestyle and wellness. They just wanted to see, let's see, what does a treatment plan just with the series and self-care create? And then do another test if you want to add in lifestyle and wellness. Is there a difference? I mean, you can vary this in any way that you want. Get their testimonial. If the guest is not comfortable with you taking a picture of their skin in an area, use their cell phone. Take a picture and document it for them so they can see their own transformation as well. So visit our Aveda Pure Pro for resources and support of anything that you need. The videos are all there, so you get to see everything demonstrated. My intention was to really help you understand the why behind everything, and I hope I've accomplished that today. I hope that you are looking at what you're doing and understanding skin transformation better than you had before this webinar. So I believe we have just a couple minutes to see if we can answer any questions. So yes?
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes, so hopefully we can get through a couple of the great questions that have been coming in. One question was, let's see, oh, this should be a quick one. How much vitamin C should be used? And then as a follow-up to that, do you know of any plans to have vitamin C available for retail?
Good question. Yeah, how many drops to use? Well, where the vitamin C has been positioned, if you're using it at the end of a treatment right before your concentrates, you're only going to use about probably 3 drops or so. Unless the skin is really dry, then you can use a few more, because we're going to be layering it with concentrates. So kind of keep that in mind. And we've got moisturizers we're putting on the skin, etc. So I like to apply a small amount of product, work it into the skin. Any area that I need special attention, I apply a little bit more. I do this with moisturizers. I do this with concentrates as well. And I find then when I'm layering products like that, I'm not overusing product. I'm not wasting product, because the skin can only absorb so much. Remember, it's only as thick as a piece of paper. So, and we've done a lot of preparing the skin. So now by the time you get to the vitamin C and the concentrates, your skin is going right to where it needs to. There's nothing in the way impeding those ingredients from really working optimally on the skin. So again, the drier the skin is, the more aged the skin is, you can use more drops. You can use anywhere from 8 to 10 drops when you're using them in the skin balancing step, right? Where you're following with a mask later on, maybe a massage, etc. Right? So I hope that answers your question. And in regards to the retail of that, I would recommend, we've been asking marketing and letting them know everyone wants to see the vitamin C as a retail product. So if you could call our customer service department, get your friends to call, get your owner to call, get everyone to call and tell them you want that product for retail, That is the system that we have in place to gather information and communication from the field. There is a monthly report that goes out to marketing, it goes out to R&D, and it goes out to sales. So if our network has an overwhelming request to have that product for retail, that's the best way for your voice to be heard. So I encourage you to do that.
Thank you. And we had a couple of people ask how you would change this protocol if they have a guest who's sensitive to essential oils.
If a guest is sensitive to essential oils, then you can leave. All right, so they're probably sensitive through the application on the skin, I'm assuming, right? If they find the aroma pleasing, then I would only use the aroma for inhalation. That way, because essential oils work on the autonomic nervous system. They help to create balance depending if it's an energizing or a calming essential oil or blend. They either create harmony in the sympathetic nervous system or they're creating harmony in the parasympathetic nervous system. So remember, essential oils work in two different ways. They work through the olfactory system and they also can work through the application directly on the skin. But the key with the application on the skin is dosage. Less is more, because the Tulasāra aroma infusions are in at a 50% dilution. And just because I say, or in the protocol, it says you can customize a certain formula, doesn't mean you have to. Always remember, when you add a Tulasāra aroma infusion, you are adding activity. So definitely apply it to your wrists. Use the aroma that way instead of directly applying it on the skin if there is a sensitivity to that. So I hope that answers your question.
Great. And we have a couple more great questions, but I'm afraid that we are out of time.
Oh, good questions though. Everyone, you've had great questions. So let me just give you a little direction for our next call. The next call is going to be next webinar, next Friday, April 24th. We're going to go into the sensitive protocol. Correction is the focus. Try to do some pre-work, carve out a half hour every day if you can. Look at the sensitive video, look at the protocol, see if you can start to put things together on what we're trying to do. Look at the PRGs of the specific products within the protocol. Check out the North America Spa webinars because they are doing some great education. And just one last thing is, obviously, the protocols in their long form are used when you're learning the protocol, but I did want to remind you, we do have the overview of each protocol, which is a one-page cheat sheet. So it goes over the steps, it goes over the products and the application techniques, and that's something that you can take into your treatment room. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this webinar. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope that you continue to elevate your service, your technical skill set, and your understanding, and come join me next week. Until then, be safe and be well, everyone. Take care. Thank you,
Helga. And again, access to this content will be uploaded in about 48 hours on PurePro under resources. Feel free to look there for previous courses that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks, including Helga's course from last Friday as well. Thank you again, Helga. Thanks everybody for joining and connecting with us. Take care and be well.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.